Hey everybody, welcome to the Two Pages podcast. I'm your host, Skeletroy Blockbuster, and you probably recognize all these people, because they've all been here before. In fact,
Yes.
they were all here last month.
Yes.
So,
I've been here
reading
way
left
too
to right
long.
here, we have Damon, Grant, Debbie, and Tom. How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Not bad. Yo.
Pretty good.
Have fun writing your stories this month?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Alright,
Damon
so,
appears.
this
Don't
time
you-
around,
What?
we're going to do things in alphabetical order, just because it makes things easier to remember. So it's going to be Debbie, Damon, Tom, me.
Fuck, I was gonna ask if I could use my pen name then, because that starts with an M.
Will you still be in the middle?
Sorry?
You'd still be in the middle. Because if it was Damon, Maeve, Tom, me, you'd still be in the same place.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I need to go learn the alphabet.
I'm gonna say words, letters. They has an order.
They help for writing sometimes.
Sometimes.
Oh, I'm gonna go far.
Alright.
So I'm first, though, right?
Don't kill me,
Now
Debbie.
that we've gotten completely derailed, it's like every other podcast, so let's get going.
I was gonna say, what am I on? Isometric perspective? Good God.
No, this is just kind of my style. My style is go off on tangents and have Grant there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens.
Alright, so without further ado, I'm going to open up the floor to Damon.
Alright, sweet. So this story is called Greg First Date. It's that time of year again. It's fall and like day in Bumdagger. And gross Greg is without a date for the dance of a lifetime. Greg put on his finest foreskin robes and headed out of his home. He walked the streets and everyone that passed by him spat in his face and said, "You're fucking gross Greg, right?"
I just
Here's
want
some
to
spit.
stop you for a second there. How many foreskins would it take to make a whole robe? Like, is this like
I
a
think
floor-length robe
about
we're talking
15.
here?
Probably about 15. I say
Mhm.
15.
15? Is he a halfling?
Okay.
Alright, sorry about that. Moving on. I just,
Alright.
people need to know these things.
Okay.
And by
So Greg
people, I
went on
mean
his
you.
way. Greg went on his merry way, since this was a daily occurrence. After the long walk and about 3 gallons of collective spit later, gross Greg arrived to his local library to ask any woman that would allow his gross ass dongle in their face, mouth, and or hip mouth. It's a vagina, hip mouth.
Yes.
Gross Greg spotted a young old lady and immediately tried to chat her up. "Hello there, my name is Gross Greg, and I noticed that you don't have a penis, so therefore would like to ask you your hand for the dance tonight." At that moment, the orc lady lifted up her dress to reveal a giant Italian sausage that would put yours to shame, and said, "Hello, trolled you, bro. # swag."
Oh no.
Gross Greg grimaced in disgust and punched his own sausage and yelled, "What the fuck, man? I thought we were friends." "Shh," the librarian said hastily. Greg saunters over to his next victim, a smoking redhead with the black owl on her left shoulder. "Hello, miss. I couldn't help but wonder what the end of my flesh poke would look like with you on it. Can't you see I'm fucking reading a book?" she exclaimed. "Whoa, I'm sorry. You didn't have to be all trollish," Greg said. The redhead rolled her eyes and then dropped some magic on his ass. "God damn it, you fucking scumbag! How am I the rude one? Walked up on me, stinking like a giant bag of gnome shit, and just assumed I'd be interested? Fuck you, dude. I'm reading a book, not sucking a cock." Greg mouthed the word whatever, and that was the last straw. Azabar, sick him, the redhead commanded. Who is at... Ah! The owl interrupted Greg and attacked him. Azabar's talons lashed firmly in Greg's eye sockets and pecked at his face. Greg ran in circles and thrashed the library in the process. Bookshelves knocked over into the tables, breaking them in half. The librarian died to such overload. Azabar pecked harder and harder. Then Greg tripped over the wreckage, landing on his face. The red screams, "Murderer!" Greg lifts his head up and the owl falls limp to the floor. Greg ran for his life. Greg ran. He ran so far away. He ran all night and day. He ended up in the deepest part of the Blood Skull Forest, to his happy place. A place he always resides every fall and light day. "Oh man, why don't I have a day for tonight?" Greg asked aloud. "Because you are gross," a faint voice came from a distance. "Who's there?" Greg shouted. "I'll rip your dick off." "Up here, silly," the voice said. Greg looks up, and all he sees is the moon. "All I see is the moon," Greg said, with disappointment. At that moment, the fucking moon spins around, revealing a woman's face. "You don't say," the moon said. "Holy shit, Dong!" Greg exclaimed. "Am I really talking to the dark side of the moon?" "Indeed, my little buttercup." Buttercup, didn't you say I was gross?" "Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I have been watching you come to this very place every fall and light day for what it seems to be eternity, asking the same question. And to be blunt, it is sad as hell, dude." "Yeah, well, fuck you too," Greg said angrily, throwing his arms up in the air. "What do you want me to do about it, huh?" The moon gave a very sassy look and said, "Isn't it obvious, Greg? Stop being gross. Especially since people kind of call you gross, Greg. You think a person would take a damn bath." Greg looks up. Excuse me. Greg looks down at his pig blood dried feet and his foreskin robes and mutters, "It's not that bad, is it?" "This is why I'm here, Greg," the moon said gleefully. Then she whistled, and a star wipe filled the air. Magic monkeys came from the heavens. They were armed with washcloths and Ajax. They quickly gave Greg a bath that was at least 20 years overdue. 30 minutes later, Greg was cured of his grossness. "Wow, thank you so much, but why am I still nude?" Greg questioned. All the moon said was, "It's time, Buttercup." Her face dripped into a serious state. Then her craters began to glow red, and giant robot legs shot out of her like a bowling ball down a lane. Greg was scared. "You are going to get a goddamn boner, Greg, or I will kill you," the moon demanded with a demonic tone. Greg's ass cheeks clenched so tight and so fast that the hairs on his crack gave third-degree burns on his anus. Then he got half a chub. "That will do," the horned-up demonic robot moon exclaimed. Then she thrusted her moon vagina onto poor Greg's beef cleaver, and 20 seconds later, Greg completed so hard that all his bones broke below his neck, and to this day, no one will believe his story, because he is gross and doesn't have any friends. The end.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So, I just want to put it out there for anybody who might be alone this Valentine's Day or Life Day or whatever you celebrate, go to your local library and try those pickup lines. You never know.
Right.
You never know.
It's going to work no matter what.
Awesome.
Writing that story, though, I was like running out of innuendos for penis. So I just kept like just mashing words together like beef cleaver. That makes no fucking sense.
I've heard worse.
But in a way, it does.
Well done. You're on the internet. I mean, you could always just look up Urban Dictionary. I'm sure there's Urban Thesaurus too. If there isn't, then we need to work on this right now. Just saying.
All right, so 1 down, 3 to go. Next up is Maeve.
Woo! All right, so I actually have a funny story about the story in general. So I was so excited to do this because I had 1,000,001 ideas for a Valentine's Day funny story. And I had like 5 beginnings, and I told Troy that I had a story, because I had those 5 beginnings, and no end. And then I finally, playing D&D today, I came up with this shit. And it'll be awesome. However, more disturbing than Demon's probably. It's scary.
All
So I
right.
give you Dancing with a Dragon. Parentheses, dragon fucker.
Well then.
You'll never understand our love, Moonflower shouted at her adopted brother and adventuring partner, Hagar Hammertoe. The dwarf huffed and looked at her. He's a dragon, lass. Moonflower slouched her shoulders and rested her longbow against the tree, pondering. Draco is a level 20 red dragon with a hoard of gold. He rolled his eyes and fed a lag of chicken to Moonflower's tiger. You don't see the problem. He rolled his eyes with a lag. Moonflower pondered the issue that she and Draco might have if they did wind up together. I suppose the age difference between an ancient red dragon, thousands of years old, and a 100-year-old elf, and I don't know, the fact that the ancient dragon would have a cock her height, or more likely no cock, seeing as dragons are reptiles and whatnot, and all, didn't cross her mind. Nope, she shrugged, and, taking a bite out of a piece of bread, Hagar face palmed and continued to eat his own rations as they waited for the fucking rogue to come back with the information that they wanted.
Oh,
Why
boy.
is it rogues are always wandering off on their own and getting everyone else fucked?
It's roads. You got to stay off them.
Well,
Hey, what the fucking party, rogue? I'm just saying that you might not want to share the rest of your life with a giant monster that demands a third of Adachi's cattle, gold, and 10 virgin sacrifices every year. He's probably a very loud chewer.
oh God.
That was Ragnar, she said, pointing at the bare-chested barbarian, smacking his lips loudly over monstrous bite of the drumstick. It's a cultural thing, the barbarian protested.
Barbarians. When will they learn?
Never. Where the hell is Grim? She asked. No one in particular. That damn rogue. And where the fuck is Archimedes? I don't fucking know, Argar said. You know how wizards are. They come and they go as they please and claim that wizards always arrive precisely when they are needed. Right, bloody idiots, a lot of them. Is that so, Mr. Hammertoe? Said a voice appearing with a pillar of violet smoke. Archimedes appeared, his arms folded with a smirk on his face.
Aw, snap!
Aw, snap! Carter grumbled under his breath, taking a swig from his flask. Is she really fucking a dragon? Asked the wizard.
Well then.
Sacrificing his dramatic entrance. I'm marrying him. Tell her this is a bad idea, complained the dwarf. It depends, he said. Moonflower, what is the CR of this dragon? 20, she said. And how much gold does he have? 2,500 GP yearly.
Fucking gold diggers.
Bam.
Then go forth, Dragon Rider,
Oh God.
and unite with your one true love.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's here to pick me up, she said, pointing to the great beast in the sky. Hi, honey! Love is weird. Rhaegar spat. Hi, remarked Hagar, and this is why clerics are celibate. Back at the dragon's lair. Draco nervously brushed the gold off the floor of his cave. You'd think that after all the virgin sacrifices that he'd gotten over the past 1,000 years, he'd be less nervous. But, he would actually care if he killed his wife, Moonflower. So, he cleared off his cabin floor and waited while she freshened up. Whatever the fuck that meant. None of his sacrifices ever done that before. And she came through the door wearing nothing but flowers on her nipples and vagina and vulva area. Because that seemed sanitary at the time. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
The dragon flied into his eyes, and something poked out from underneath a movable scale. Oh yeah, he was ready. But he still didn't want to kill her, so he tried to figure out what to do with his great schlong, awkwardly moving around and crawling on top of her. Ah! She screamed, "What the fuck was that?" I can drag it, he said. I'm aware. So after a bit of fumbling around and this and that, he finally managed to get in her without killing her. And the two made love. What were you expecting? It's 2 pages podcast. I ran out of space. So we were expecting some great detail, but no. I had no space.
Okay, that works.
Just goes to show that love finds a way. And then
Just like Jurassic Park.
exactly.
Clever girl.
That happened in that movie, right? Like, the fucking species find a way, whatever. I wasn't misquoting, right?
Didn't they have frogs fucking dinosaurs or something like that?
You know, stuff happens. Totally.
Awesome.
Quick, play me off, Johnny.
All right. So up next we have Tom.
Yep. And pretty much the funny thing is I'm working backwards now because in December I did Keith and Gary's Epic Christmas Adventure. Now I'm reading. Technically, that was the last one of the 3 that I did. This is the second one, so I'm working backwards. This is Keith's Epic Valentine Adventure.
Oh, snap.
So for anybody who, if you want to hear the other one, it was episode 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
I believe 2 pages of celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're
Luckily,
going
yeah.
backwards
Luckily-
order. So in 2 months' time, Tom will probably read the first one. So then you can listen to them all in regular order or reverse order. Your choice. All right, take it away, Tom.
Yeah. Luckily, there's no real continuity between these 3, so I can read them in whatever order I want, and it won't really affect it much.
Fuck continuity.
Um.
So we don't need a Linkara continuity alarm. Good. Good. Good.
Okay. Keith was sitting at home with Gary, the 2 of them relaxing after a hard day at work. Keith was daydreaming as Gary was watching a DVD of one of his favorite shows, Torchwood, of which Keith isn't a big fan. He seemed to suspect Gary only likes the show because John Barrowman is in it. Suddenly, Keith's train of thought wandered to the date, and he immediately sat right up when he realized what it was. Sweat started pouring down his face. It was the day before Valentine's Day, and he hadn't gotten anything for Gary yet. He'd kept putting it off because he knew how picky Gary is. But he'd now left it to the last minute. Gary asked Keith what was wrong, forcing Keith to come up with a lie that he'd forgotten to grab something when he went shopping the other day. Relieved that Gary didn't see past a lie, he left under its false pretense and headed into town to find the perfect gift. Dodging all the traffic due to taking his relatively new motorbike, Keith got to the nearest mall in no time and ran right in. As soon as he did, he went stiff. The place was flooded with people. Apparently every store in the mall was having sales, and so it appeared half the town had shown up.
What
Determined
are the
not to give up.
I didn't know that he could be that turned on from going shopping now too. Guess I missed that one.
Oh Lord. Determined not to give up, Keith checked all the stores he regularly went to looking for gifts. Nothing. Suddenly he noticed a small new store he'd never been in before. The shop was relatively empty compared to everywhere else, but as soon as he walked inside, he knew he'd find something. And there it was, staring him in the face. An extremely obscure anime series collection that was a very rare find indeed. Keith knew he'd found the right one, as Gary had been bitching about not being able to find it for years. Realizing he definitely had enough money to get it, Keith went to grab it just as someone else did. Keith locked eyes with the person. It was a woman about his age who had a look in her eyes like she would do anything to get what he was after.
Oh no.
Finally, they broke out
What is
into
it?
an argument, which attracted more people to the shop to see what was going on, only for most of them to realize what they were arguing over and how badly they all wanted it too. Without warning, everyone grabbed out weapons they'd somehow been concealing, showing just how serious they were about wanting it. Having prepared for this situation, Keith pulled out twin wakizashi he'd brought along with him. Despite the best efforts of the staff in the shop, a fight finally broke out when the woman Keith had been arguing with caught a kunai someone had thrown at her and threw it back, getting them in the throat. The moment the kunai hit the person's throat, all hell broke loose, with everyone charging at Keith and the woman, who seemed to have decided then and there to work together to get rid of everyone else first before fighting each other. Keith and the woman rushed into the fray, dodging attacks left and right whilst trying to counter as many people as they could. They managed to take out several people in the first few minutes of the fight, with some even running away. When they'd finally taken out most of the people, the remaining three formed a cohesive unit, badly wounding both Keith and the woman. Luckily, these people were also cocky, so the woman was able to cut one of their legs off when they got too close, killing the man by driving a blade she'd stolen from someone else through the side of his head. Keith managed to take out the only other woman left by throwing a shuriken he found in the woman's left eye, causing her to stumble back in pain and fall over the balcony to her death. As the woman he'd been helping seemed to be down, Keith took on the last person man-to-man. The duel lasted quite a while with many close calls, including the man's katana actually breaking one of Keith's wakizashi, limiting him to one. Keith finally seemed to be beaten, but he suddenly ducked down as a kunai, possibly intended for him, flew over his head and into the head of the man he was fighting. Figuring out immediately what happened, Keith immediately turned around and threw his remaining wakizashi at the woman, successfully getting her in the chest, causing the woman to collapse onto the blade, driving it through her heart and thus killing her. Victorious, Keith regained his composure and limped back into the store. Not wanting any more trouble, the worker at the register simply made the sale and let Keith go on his way, with the manager complaining about how violent the town was as he left. Being in the state he was, Keith decided to take it easy getting home and finally arrived back in time for dinner. As soon as Gary saw the state Keith was in, he ran up to him and helped him get off the motorbike. "What the hell did you get yourself into? You look like crap," Gary demanded. Keith laughed. "I feel like crap too." Gary was still very confused, but decided not to worry about it. Well, whatever happened, you better hope it was worth it. He shuffled around a small bag he had on his back before chuckling under his breath. Yeah, I think it was worth it. And that's it.
I'll take it. I would just like to say for the record, I don't know if it was intended, especially after the past two stories, just how many goddamn double meanings you had in there, Tom.
So, one thing I need to ask, what was the DVD series?
Yes.
I mean, if it's something that he's fighting to the death for, it's got to be something fucking cool, right?
That's the funny thing is I never actually figured in my head what it would be. I figured I'd just leave it open to interpretation so people could basically make
Jurassic
it whatever
Park.
they want.
Oh, I totally voted for Jurassic Park.
I hope
That's
not. They just
Mrs. Flowers.
got to remastering it.
Jurassic Park, the anime series.
I want it.
Yeah, I'd probably
Oh,
watch
God.
that, to be honest.
I would have to get it out of sheer principle. I mean, come on.
Well,
Dr. Grant,
now that, like,
let's face it.
LucasArts and
Only if it's Blu-ray.
Disney and Star Wars and all those are under the same banner, they could just do like the Marvel anime series, like they did with like X-Men and Iron Man and stuff.
Right.
I'd watch it.
The thing would be that it would be a bunch of anthropomorphic dinosaurs going to high school.
That
Also, I don't remember if it was Gary or if it was Keith, but it was almost too bad that he brought the swords along and not the shotgun. That probably would have ended it a lot quicker.
Yeah, probably.
If you're counting the states, I'm going to say it is because of the amount of violence. Like the fictional town, I mean.
I was gonna say, are we sure this isn't like in the universe of A Clockwork Orange here? Because, good lord.
Well, generally
That's
these
a whole lot of
Yeah.
violence.
generally these three stories are basically just sort of satires of revenge martial arts movies and that, so it's always sort of bladed weapons and that. For the most
and
part.
you're also going off like the Battle Royale idea too, so I definitely get it.
I dug it. I had that South Park Let's Fighting Love song going through my head the whole time. Alrighty, round 4.
Fight.
Okay, so we're continuing off with the last part of the story, sort of. So back on the bridge of Deep Space 69, the exposition program had just finished explaining Commander Saw's foolproof plan, and he's not repeating it, so too fucking bad if you missed it. I guess that's kind of a dick move on my part for not giving you the option to stay on the bridge, but whatever. You can't be everywhere at once, so let's just live in the now and move on, guys. Come on.
Of course I'm not going to tell you my plans, Mr. Bond.
Ah, it all makes perfect sense now, exclaimed Lieutenant Spiderman. No wonder the commander was so confident. Now, if the rest of you will
I forgot about
excuse me,
Spider-Man.
I have a plot to move forward. And he walked away. And this time there wasn't really anything going on the bridge, so don't worry about missing anything this time. Lieutenant Spiderman was a half-human, half-spider. And both those halves were half-cyborg, so I don't know, you do the fucking math on how that works. And you might be thinking that he's like all gross or ugly or whatever, but you gotta remember that this is the future, and all sorts of fucked up stuff is considered sexy. I mean, here in the present, people fuck other people dressed as stuffed animals, so there's that. Now, By human
can dig it.
spider... Sorry?
I can dig it.
Now, by human spider cyborg standards, Spider-Man was pretty handsome. Like a mid-90s David Duchovny. That's right. He's so dreamy looking that I'd probably kiss him. And I'm not into men or spiders. Especially men. But especially spiders. Now, robots, on the other hand. So yeah, now you can probably totally see why Lieutenant Spider-Man had a date tonight. Oh, I forgot to mention that? Oh, that's because he had 2 dates tonight. That's right. He double booked himself and was going to have to leave someone disappointed and potentially heartbroken. Yeah, Spider-Man's a dreamboat, but doesn't have much consideration for other people's feelings. But somehow, that just made the ladies want him even more. He had made plans to meet the super sexy Frankenstein twins at the movie theater, but also had a super hot date with a local porn star at the Robots vs. Monsters tournament at the arena in Futureton. So this is where your first choice happens. Which date do you want to go on? Damon. Movie or the arena?
Oh no, robots.
Okay, so that's one for the arena. Grant?
Yeah, robots.
What's cooler than giant fighting effing robots?
Debbie?
Ah, God, I don't know. On the one hand, I want to say go with the robots and the porn star, but twins. Twins!
She has a fair and valid point. I do respect it. But on the other hand, giant robots.
Giant motherfucking robots. I know it's so hard.
Tom?
I'm gonna have to go with arena.
Okay. Let's go
God,
to
I'm
the
the perfect
arena.
blue.
Hey, look, you're the odd one out this time. Ha!
The patriarchy outvote you.
God damn patriarchy.
Oh my God, Tom! Wow! Wow! Here's the line. Here's you crossing it. Moving on.
Anyway. Lieutenant Spider-Man called the Frankenstein twins to let them know that he wouldn't be available tonight. Oh, hey, good thing you called, said Jasmine Frankenstein, the hotter of the two. But admittedly, they are both really well put together, if you know what I'm saying. What do you mean you don't know what I'm saying? You know, like, they're sexy, but made of different parts of people, and fuck, I hate having to explain these things to you fucking people. Jasmine continued. We just had an emergency. Half of the skin just fell off Jeanette's face, so we have to go scavenge some more. Oh, that's too bad, Spider-Man said as he tried to take concern. But, hey, give me a call if you want to scavenge a bone sometime, if you know what I'm saying. And no, I'm not going to fucking explain that one.
Okay with that.
You're crazy.
We all are. That's why we're here.
I worry about all of our mental health. Psychology.
I would like to
majors
point
right
out I
here.
don't have a story, so moving on.
Spider-Man arrived at the Futureton Arena via teleporter, because paying for parking in the future is fucking expensive. Spider-Man met up with his date, Diamond Mainframe, a prostobot turned adult holographic film actress. Best known for her work in the films Gangbang at the Car Factory, The Biggest Explosion in Explosionville, and Robo-Hose 4, Dick Lord's Revenge. Although that last one is more infamous than it is famous, as it shows a young Dick Lord before he became ruler of whatever I called that planet he comes from. Did I even give it a name?
Oh,
Fuck, I'm
shit.
bad about that. Alright, he comes from planet Sack. Sorry I'm late, said Spider-Man as he put his arm around Diamond. There was a lineup for the teleporter. Have you been waiting long? Oh, not really, she replied. Maybe an hour or two, but I was fucking some guys in the parking lot, so that makes the time go quicker. And I found $1 on the ground. Spider-Man slowly withdrew his arm from holding Diamond, handing her ticket to her, and the two walked through the gates into the arena. I think I'm gonna get some snacks, Spider-Man said, noticing the refreshment stands and t-shirt vendors. Did you want anything? Oh, I'll get them, Diamond replied. If you count that $1 I found, I made like $94 in the parking lot. That should be enough to get a small popcorn at least. Alright, so here's where the second choice happens.
I'm afraid.
If you think Spider-Man, yeah, the choices are for Spider-Man to go get the popcorn himself, or if he should go to his seat and Diamond should go get the popcorn. Damon.
What are the choices again? My mic or my headphone just cracked out.
Oh, the choices are for Lieutenant Spider-Man to go get the popcorn, or for Diamond to go get the popcorn.
Oh. Diamond.
Grant?
Spider-Man.
Debbie?
Well, she made fucking $94, so she can get the fucking popcorn.
Come on. Spider-Man.
Is that a tie?
Ooh, yeah, first
Yeah, it is.
Fuck, I need a coin or
First
something.
tie.
I don't know what
God,
tie.
I don't think that's ever happened before.
Let's
Just
see.
do the one you want to do. For a
Yeah.
tie.
I want to do both of them, so I'm going to leave it to chance.
Okay.
All right, we're doing the second one. Okay.
Troy looks for a quarter.
Sorry, it takes a while to scroll on these fucking tablets sometimes.
No worries. We know the
Oh, let's
feeling.
go.
Lieutenant Spider-Man decided to let Diamond get the snacks because he didn't want to miss any of the fights. We're down near the front, he said. The section and the seat name are on your ticket if you get lost. Spider-Man made his way to the seat as the first match began. The announcer was standing in the middle of the ring. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get things underway. Are you ready for the first match? All right. In this corner, representing the robots, at a weight of 2.5 tons, it's Tiny Flint Filament. The crowd cheered wildly. And in the other corner, representing the monsters, at an always changing amount of weight due to temperature and air pressure, it's the Iceman. The crowd booed at an 8-foot-tall man made completely of ice, and the two squared off. Things were looking good for Tiny, as he shattered both of the Iceman's arms with his trademark piston pump punch. Don't worry, his arms will regenerate, it just takes a while. The Iceman ended up scoring the victory with an impalement, as he leaped in the air and stabbed Tiny through the top of the head with his coccycle. Your winner, the Iceman! The announcer shouted, as the referee went to raise the Iceman's arms in victory, then realized he didn't have arms, so he just kind of pointed to him, raising his own arms. What I'd do if I was a referee in that situation.
Yep. This guy.
Well, she should be
What,
back
are you waiting
by
for me?
now, Spider-Man thought, as he wondered where Diamond and his damn popcorn were. There was still a bit of time before the second match was due to start, so he decided he'd go and make sure that Diamond was okay. He left his seat and went back to the refreshment area, where, to his surprise, he saw that Diamond had converted one of the unused vendor booths into her own personal whore tent. There was a long lineup of men, women, aliens, monsters, what looked like a bowl of pudding, ghosts, and even tournament champion Shock Masterson. After assessing the situation, Spider-Man left the arena for the nearest teleporter back to Deep Space 69, pulled out his phone, deleted Diamond from his contact list, and never spoke of this night again. The end.
Jeez.
Well then.
I take it that Iceman victory gives a new meaning to the term skull fuck, though.
Definitely. Also gives a new meaning to coxicle.
I was also going to
I don't think
comment.
it had a meaning before.
I was also going to comment. Little Mac
There was a
versus
bowl of
Iceman
pudding.
from Mega Man.
That makes my Dragon Elf story look so much more healthy.
That's what I'm here for. To show you guys that your stories aren't really that depraved. Or something like that, I don't know.
That's still left up to the jury.
Well, you're not
Well,
the
you're a
jury,
nice guy
Grant.
for that.
Just because you didn't write a story doesn't mean that you can judge.
Well, okay.
All right, so that's going to wrap things up for the fourth episode of the Two Pages podcast. Thanks, everybody, for coming out again, and we're going to see this group again next month
You're welcome.
when we do stories about leprechauns. Should be pretty fucking fun.
Nice.
All right, so on behalf of all my compatriots, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good night.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.